Yeah, good evening, guys. I hope the slide is visible. Can anyone please confirm? Okay, in the chat box maybe. Okay, yeah. So Prakriti,
Oh, all right. So, very good evening, all of you, and a warm welcome to our ambitious speakers and our coding enthusiasts. Today, I, Prakriti Agarwal, Vice President of ACMW, along with Yash, Treasurer of ACM, will be the host of the day. So, before moving ahead, I would like to inform you guys that in case someone wants to say something or has any kind of doubt, feel free to write in the chat box or raise your hand. So we have a fun activity planned for you all. Sanskar, can you please share the link in the chat box? Click on it and get going. So is my screen visible to you all?
yeah.
So the question is, which word comes to your mind when you hear the word competitive programming? So we will be seeing all your responses over here.
Okay, so I can see someone really wrote stuff. We'll be covering like all the things. So after decode has been completed, I guess you won't find competitive programming that tough.
I could really see some interesting responses. Placement,
Yeah, so placement
de-
is one of the major things. Yeah, and
yeah,
someone really wrote
decode,
Goldman Sachs as well.
and Pooja ma'am too.
Okay, so Divya, I guess many people will be joining with you in Goldman after a few years.
Awesome.
Yeah, I guess we can move on now. Like, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So coming back to Decode, welcome all of you. So your dream jobs may be Google, Microsoft, Amazon, or even Goldman Sachs. We all know that the competitive coding is the first step towards your goal. It is one of the most fun and challenging mind games to put your coding skills to test and sharpen the way your brain is programmed to think. With this, ACM and ACMW are proud to present to you Decode 1.0, the competitive marathon of Srinagar University. A 20 days program, Decode will be series of alumni and faculty talks and decode and the coding sprints with big cash prizes and certificates for all. So moving on, we have some very special speakers amongst us, which you might already be aware of. Uh, we have we have one of the most prestigious students that SNU takes pride on, Megha Agarwal. She is a third year computer science enthusiast who recently bagged the prestigious opportunity of being a summer intern at Google. Not only this, she has been facilitated in Dean's List of Spring 2019. Over to you, Megha. Tell us about your views on competitive programming.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, so thank you very much for the kind introduction. I'm here to talk about how to get started with competitive programming. I will try my best to not bore you guys, so please just bear with me. I don't think I have to tell you about the benefits of competitive programming. I mean, it improves your logical reasoning and problem solving abilities, and of course, helps you a lot during the coding interviews. But it is surely a very gradual process. Honestly, competitive programming has just given me existential crisis for a major part of my second year. I did not have computer science in my 11th and 12th, so when I entered college, programming was like a whole new world for me. I was the kind of student who did not understand the basic syntax of commands when people around me were just doing it in one go. So, with the help of my friends, I did work on my basic coding skills in my first year. So after I got a decent grade in the data structures, I thought this is it. I am the pro now. I would easily be able to solve the questions that are asked in competitive coding competitions. But to my shock, when I went for my first coding sprint, I couldn't even understand a single question, let alone code them. I just froze. I did not know what to do anymore. So sometimes I feel that the abundance of material on internet is also a disadvantage because you don't really know what path to choose, especially when you are as confused as I was when starting out. Hence, I would suggest you to just choose one coding platform and then stick to it, at least when you are just beginning. HackerRank, CodeChef, CodeForces are all very good websites. I personally prefer HackerRank because of its more organized content and its comparatively welcoming UI, after which you can move on to CodeChef and CodeForces. A lot of people also have confusion about what languages to use. I personally prefer C++ because of its faster compilation time and the presence of standard template libraries, which makes it easier to code. Also, it was easier for me to pick it up since C, it's very similar to C, which is taught to us in college. I feel persistence is a more important skill when starting out in competitive than being really good in programming. I have seen people who did not struggle much when they started out, but I would like to believe that the majority of the population is not like that. I still feel intimidated when solving a completely new question, and especially when there is a time constraint involved. Having strong basics is very important. It's important to use the most effective data structure and have a clear idea about the time complexities of your code. Hence, it becomes very important for everyone to at least attend coding sprints and keep on trying to solve the questions. For the questions that you are not able to solve, just read up the solutions that are available. Trust me, it does take time, but slowly and gradually you will get better at by just trying out the questions and then analyzing its solutions. Competitive coding is a legit exercise for your brain. So the joy that you feel after successfully passing all the test cases in a question is unparalleled. College is all about figuring out what you really want to do and just exploring different domains. And we are just here to help you find your path. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megha. Moving on, I'll just share my screen again. Next, we have one of the best alumni of SNU, Divyaraj Bhaiya, batch of 2020, who is technical analyst at Goldman Sachs. He was also a software development intern at Dell and has a hands-on experience in Android Studio and React Native. Over to you, Bhaiya.
Hey, hi. Thanks, Prakriti, for the intro. First of all, I'd like to just thank ACM for conducting these sessions, especially in these difficult times and when everyone is just trying to do their best from their home. So just kudos to you guys for just continuing the coding culture as well. It's tough for you guys to just do these things from home, not being at college. But yeah, hopefully you guys can attend the next year in college and see what that's like. Um, Megha has talked a lot about competitive programming, its benefits, and how you can be a bit better at it. I'll talk a little bit about my general experience in college, what I learned, some of the things that I think you might find useful going forward. Thing that I would like to just tell you guys is that you'll have to put in a little bit more effort on things which are not taught to you in your courses. So it's fine if you do well with your courses, but it's your own. That is something that many people don't do while they're in college, and then they kind of think about it that they missed that opportunity. So if you're just in your first year or even in your second year, I implore you guys to just look beyond your courses, just learn technologies on your own. For example, Android, web development. These things won't be taught in your courses, and you just have to learn these employable skills, machine learning, and applications. Things that I like to tell anyone. Hopefully, you can learn from that. The was that you should be focused more on projects rather than just marks, I guess. Like projects as in good team projects from start to finish. It's fine if you can do it on your own as well, you don't have a team, but focus on projects. Like they are the best ways to learn new stuff. um, and I found that if you do projects more and more, you'll be better at your actual job once you get it, because you have that practice of work with various different technologies all at once, and you'll get a lot of opportunities in the courses that you will do. Thankfully, we have a lot of project oriented courses, and I hope you guys make the most of those. Those are really, really fun, and just make some good projects that you can put on your resume. So that was the second point. The third was that it's it's okay that when you start, you get stuck in a lot of stuff. And a generation which is blessed to be to have Google with us to just find out the answers of anything. You don't have to go from book to book or person to person to find your answers. You can just Google, and it's fine if you Google and you have to steal some code sometimes to make stuff work. But the important thing is that you know how to find that stuff, and eventually, if you do it more and more, you can just start writing that stuff on your own. So it's fine at the start to just Google around and just copy paste code. Even till today, I just copy paste most of the code when I'm starting out in any new technology. Recently, I was doing React, and most of my code and just turned around so that it fits my needs. So that's a skill that you'll have to learn, and it's quite easy to learn actually. So just focus on that. The other thing that I would like to touch on also is just try a lot of stuff in your early years. So try all the technologies. I know there's a lot of buzzwords in the industry with cloud computing, machine learning, blockchain, AI, whatnot. I would just suggest you to just try some of these things on your own, whatever interests you most, and make a small little project or learn a little bit about it so that you can eliminate the things that you don't enjoy and finally settle on something that you really, really like. Go deep in that so that it becomes almost like, what I like to call it is like skill, which you can flaunt in your interviews or on your resume that yes, I know, or this paradigm, and something that you can get hired. In my case, it was Android, so I was really into Android development and making apps, and that was something that I really helped me land my first internship at a startup. And after that, it's just you just continue in that, or maybe you find something else, something new to hone your other skills. So yeah, just find what you like. And another thing when finding what you like is just doing projects. Again, projects are very, very important. So just do those with complete passion, I think. And talking about trying, one of the things that you should try, that's what we're here for today. Competitive programming. I started in my same as Megha. I was not very good at it. I thought that I might not be able to solve any questions, and if these are the questions that they ask in interviews, I'm totally screwed. I'm not getting through any interviews. But hopefully, with the help of ACM again and many of my friends back at college, I was able to solve some of them, but I wasn't really awesome at it. I found interest in other stuff. So that's one more thing to learn. If you really feel like you are not able to solve these questions, as Megha said, seek help in those questions or do it passionately, but just do it on your side, on the side. Just solve these questions whenever you are free or whenever you feel like you don't have much else to do. So these questions really do help, and it's the truth is that in the interviews, the most basics of these questions will be asked. So the questions that you'll be solving today or in the future sprints that ACM conducts, the most basics and easy ones will be the ones that they'll ask in the interviews. So if you do these questions like maybe even half-heartedly for the next 4 years, you'd have a pretty good idea when it comes to the interviews. And of course, you'll have the skills, the logical reasoning, etc., to just crack any other question. So I just focus on these questions and the ways to solve them. It's okay if you don't top the scoreboard today or in any of the sprints. Just give it your all. So that's on the CP. Other than that, I don't have much to add. All the best to all of you in your sprint and in your college life. If you have any questions, Instagram or wherever, I guess, and I'd be happy to help. So, yeah, thanks. Over to you, Prakriti.
Thank you so much, Bhaiya, for your words of wisdom. So, moving on, we have question and answers sessions for like if anybody has any questions for Megha and Divya Bhaiya, go on and write it out.
You guys can also raise your hand and like then we'll allow you to speak also. So it's up to you. If you want to ask in chat section, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
For any
Any question
questions,
regarding maybe your college or any project that you're working on in technology?
Guys, this is not a formal session. You can ask any and all sort of questions, whatever you feel like. Okay,
There
I
is
see
someone
Prakhar
raising
Basina
their
has requested
hand.
for the mic. Ishit? Diviv, I guess I have a question for you. So Jayanti Sharma asks that did you start competitive programming in second year?
First year, it was a sprint like this, which they had a bunch of questions, very beginner questions. But again, as I told, I struggled a lot with that. So I didn't really participate with 100% effort. But whenever I had some free time, I had solved some questions on HackerRank, and that was pretty much it for my competitive. But I really, really think that if I had participated more in these sprints throughout the years, it would have really helped. So I guess you guys have the opportunity to not make the sort of mistake that I made. Yeah.
So we have a next question. What skills do you think will be valuable in the future? Megha, you can also answer this.
I mean, like machine learn. See, honestly, it's not much about what's valuable in the future. It's more about what you like. So, like, I tried out development in my first year, but I didn't like it. So then I abandoned it completely. But like Divya Bhaiya, he liked Android, so he did it more intensively. So in the similar way, I like data science more and machine learning more, so I'm doing more projects in that area. So it's just like in when you're in your first years and second year, I would suggest to just for you guys to explore like different things and then figure out what you like and then be good at it. That's what Divya Bhaiya, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, totally agree. But of course, machine learning and AI is the important thing, the big thing these days. Just see if you like it, make some projects. Otherwise, just as she said, just do what interests you rather than just following the herd.
Okay. Yeah, so we have another question. So Himanshu Singh says, how do we develop interest in programming? So I guess that's the most
That is
like important and yeah, most of the people would be having this question. So yeah.
that's actually whenever there's a lot of people which come in the first year and they struggle with this, like they think they have, let's say, the computer science um, course that is the motivation for this. So you like to do is just not look at how you can develop interest in programming, but how you can develop interest in problem solving, be it any problem, like even just like maybe Sudoku or see in real life, which you think could be solved by a computer, or anything that you see in life which you think you could improve on. You think some feature in there which I can put, which would improve my life. So just things like that. You just need to solve problems, not programming. Programming is just a very powerful tool that we are blessed to have, that we can use to solve these problems. And being in the computer science field, we should actually use this power and do a lot of good for the society or for ourselves. Just the other thing is just is to look at products but as engineers. So don't just use LinkedIn. Try to think about how did they make LinkedIn, inner workings of it, and try to think about how you could do it. So you don't have to program and make be a big task, but you could think about how you would do it if you had a team, or if you had to just make a diagram for all the things in LinkedIn. Those sort of they really um, try to they interest in solving problems, and eventually you'll get to programming these things. So you'll feel like, yes, I'm actually doing something worthwhile instead of just making, I don't know, data structure programs. So yeah, application based programs is what I like to say.
Yeah, that was a pretty good answer. And moving on to the next question, we have where to figure out from what we like. Okay, there's literally so much out there, it's confusing. So he has asked like where to start from, like what should be the starting point. Megha, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, like I talked about, just see for competitive coding, just choose one platform and stick to it. Like HackerRank, I think has a whole. It has in order. It starts from the easiest of the question and then goes on to the most difficult questions. I know it can be very confusing because some of the people might be using Code Forces and CodeChef. Just stick to one, and then after you reach like the medium level questions, then you can like go for different websites. But when you're starting, just choose any one platform and stick to it. Solve the questions जो उसमें आते हैं, and then मतलब read up on like it's like it starts with array suppose, and then it has a lot of questions on arrays like searching, sorting, and then just read, uh, taking that as a reference. Don't go मतलब हर जगह सर्च करके कोई फायदा नहीं है. I have done that, so it's not very useful. Just stick to one thing.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is from Pakhar. Pakhar, now you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Yash. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. My question is to Divya Bhaiya. As you mentioned that you were engrossed in Android development for quite a while. I'm in my third year and I'm sort of in the same lane where I'm very interested in the field of development, but I competitive programming doesn't, I don't find it interesting. So how do you strike a good balance between what you like and what comes in the company interviews and stuff like that?
Okay. I think I was sort of in the same boat as you are in the third year. As I said, I was not really good at competitive programming, but I knew that if I had to get a good company for placement season, I had at these sort of questions. So what I did was just figure out what these questions are and how they work. You just have to have, I don't know, motivation to do that. There's no other way. They're going to ask in the interviews. They have what you can do is take help of your friends or the internet. Basically, you can watch a lot of videos about the interview sessions and what kind. There's a very awesome book called Crack Interview. I highly recommend that for the third years. You can search it right now. If you can buy it, awesome. If you can get the PDF from it from some source, that's also good. But link that book and the question really inspires you to do stuff. So I think if you're in your third year and going in the placement season next year, for some time, just try to get started with this, with the interview questions scene. It's fine if you have to give up your development for some time, but yeah, just get started and read that book, which I told. It's nice.
Okay.
This is well.
So the next question. Yeah.
Yeah, and my question is to Megha, like, how do you correlate data science in competitive programming? Like, it doesn't use that much computing, right? Coding in a way. Like, how does it help?
See, competitive is basically it enriches your problem solving abilities. So when you start with data science, you need to have some intuition about what this data is, like what this data is trying, and then visualizing and cleaning. So I don't think so there is a very clear relation between competitive coding and data science, but I mean it's like it's the general ability that gets better, your problem solving or logical reasoning that helps in every field, like it would help in development also. So it's not a very direct relation, it's just something that improves on more subconscious level, I feel. I hope that answered your question. Hello.
Have I been disconnected or is everyone just silent?
Oh no, I guess we should move on to the next question then. Should we try
Okay.
question in different topics, or should we do question of different levels on the same topic in beginning? So this is a question by Sarun. Uh,
Um, would you like?
Megha or Divya Bhaiya, anyone?
See, it's just, see, the thing is, just go to one platform. They already have it in the sorted order. So just follow that, and that would be enough. That's all I'm saying. Uh, yeah, different levels in the same topic, as in, okay, like you choose array and then you do easy, medium, hard, like that. You're asking?
Yeah, he
Yep.
says yes. So
Yeah, I think that is how questions are arranged on coding platforms, is what I feel. That is how you should go. Like choose one data structure and like ace it completely. Like choose linked list and then do the basic one and then the medium and then the hard one and then move on to the data next data structure. Yes, this is how it
uh,
should be.
And of course, if you get stuck, you
great.
can move on for just like a change of
Yeah.
pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So taking on the next question by Prerit, how to begin with machine learning and what resource to follow as a beginner?
All right, I'll answer this. So to begin with machine learning, I feel like don't start with the mathematics and the theory and stuff. Start with the application. Example, what I started with was computer vision. I thought that what I made is that so there's a movie in which you need to, let's say, recognize some actors. So my program should just pick out the faces in that scene in that movie and recognize who that actor is. So I thought this will be a very cool application, and so I made the project. And using that, I learned a lot of stuff in computer vision. And after that, I thought, yeah, this stuff is pretty cool. I should learn a little bit more about machine learning. So I did this course on Coursera by Andrew Ng or Andrew Ng, however it's pronounced, which goes into the depths of the mathematics and stuff. So I recommend that course if you want to get started, if you like machine learning, first of all, and maths, because otherwise that course can get a bit tough to go through. So yeah, um, in a nutshell, get started with anything that you like, any project, and then see if you still like machine learning. And if you do, plenty of resources, plenty of books which you can follow. So,
So one last question by Jagannath. C++ or Java for CP, which has a compact, concise, efficient code and features.
C++.
Yeah, C++
I would
is
also like to add on this. I would also like to add on this. So basically, it's totally up to you. So the thing is, most of the people they code in C++ or C. So you will find many answers in like every content you see on competitive programming. 90% of it will be in C++. But I personally code in Java, and we have a very talented fourth year a senior. His name is Kabir, and he codes in Java. So it really doesn't matter that which programming language you are using. But if you have an option and if you like C++ and Java equally, you go with C++. But the thing is, if you don't like C++, no, there's like no hard and fast rule that you have to learn C++ and everything in that. You can go with Java or Python as well. So that doesn't like you can choose your own language. So yeah, that's it. Do we have
So like,
more questions?
yeah, I guess one by Divyani. I'm not from CSE, so is coding good enough for getting into a good company as a software developer?
Yeah.
Divya
Yeah,
Bhaiya, would you like
If
to
you're
answer?
not, yeah. So if you're not from CAC, again, it's very time first of all to do non-CAC stuff. But it's up to you how you manage your time. And what you do with that time is you should again work on projects and some of these skills to learn a little bit more about CS. Of course, you will not have the concepts such as operating systems or data structures taught to you, so you'll have to spend some extra time to learn these things. But if you do these things, there is no way that you don't get a job as a software developer. Especially in SNU, there are so many companies which come hiring for these positions. Not that difficult if you put in the time and if you can find the time first of all. So yeah.
I guess we should move on now. So moving on, we have we have one of the best speakers and perfect guide for SNU folks. Welcome, sir. Introducing Mr. Rajiv Kumar, sir, Associate Dean, Undergraduate Studies of Shiv University, is an Indian computer scientist known for his exceptional teaching ability and research in the area of optical communication and machine learning. Sir has been instrumental in the development of this world-class institution, which is now an institute of eminence. His deep involvement in the Career Development Center and the admission team has tremendously helped SNU in getting a good quality students as well as providing them suitable career options. Every student present here can't deny the fact that he is an extremely popular instructor and has been phenomenal in his lectures. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. Over to you.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you for the introduction. So I heard Diviraj, I think, has lost the connection, and I must say that Diviraj is one student who has never, probably at least in my classes, I've never found Diviraj to be absent. So I think one of the very important things that all of you need to remember is consistency. and competitive coding definitely needs consistency. There are many people who start with lot of enthusiasm, but sometimes they miss the bus somewhere. And I think if you want to go on top of competitive coding, you must make sure that you have to make a promise to yourself that you're not going to leave in between, and make sure that you put in your 100% effort. There'll be a lot of ups and downs while you move into this arena, but you have to just put your belief into it. Let me give an example. There are these stories which helps us to understand what goes behind, and I'm just giving you one of the prominent example from a study wherein the rats were basically put inside the glass tubes which were filled with water, and of course the rats struggle for minutes and minutes and minutes trying to climb out of the tubes without success. And after some time, I think in that experiment which I'm talking about, after 15 minutes or so, they stopped moving, and they gave up basically. And they were just floating in the tube. There was another experiment done. Now the researchers knew that 15 minutes the time, that these rats are basically trying to get out. So then another experiment was performed by the same set of researchers, and they took another 100 rats, they threw them into the tube, and what they did was after 14 minutes, just before they were about to give up, they were taken out. After drying, giving them some food, they were thrown back in the test tube, and it was observed that most struggle in the second time. Actually, most rats, in fact, in the second time, they struggle for 20 minutes before calling it quits, right? And this question is why this extra 6 minutes, right? So what has happened is the memory of the past success, right? That triggers the release of that confidence that there is some hope, and it delays the advent of I would say despair or hopelessness. So I think it is important for us to understand that competitive coding will give you that extra 6 minutes if you go into this. And so it's a very important skill set. Whether you win or lose is a separate thing, but the kind of belief system that you develop in a competitive coding is going to change your life in an amazing way. Just imagine that our belief in gods, our belief in the concept of nations, our belief in the concept of companies, our belief that Google is phenomenal, our belief that Goldman is phenomenal, these are all beliefs, right? Many of you may not have any hard data to say why is A better than B, right? These are actually belief, and they may be right. Okay, I'm not saying it is wrong, but the belief makes us do many things which otherwise is impossible, right? So my sense is that all of us need to believe in our ability, and belief in your own basically belief that you would be able to hang on till you meet the success, and that is very, very important. And these people, whether it is Megha or Divyaraj or anyone who have actually seen the success, they have seen it after a long, long hard work and lots of ups and downs that happens when you go into such competitive coding. And I think everybody must be aware of these problems because you will find them in large numbers. The problems will always be there. It is your confidence, it is your belief which will help you to move ahead and win. And you are all aware that I think history is always shaped by small group of I would say forward looking. Oh, I have not switched on my video. Just a second. A small group of forward-looking, warriors all the time. Okay, or rather, I should say innovators, right? And they're not defined by large masses. They're always defined by, I would say, small number of warriors. So understand that part. and make sure that the train of progress is basically uh, is leaving the station. And this is your chance, because once you leave your university, or you may not be able to get enough time to get these skills. So this is the best time, and you must get onto that train if you want to get the success that some of your other speakers have actually achieved. And I think these are good examples, because they are almost of your age. They have seen the same kind of problems or good things that you are seeing. So my sense is that you must uh, keep meeting your seniors who are doing well as who have seen of some of these ups and downs in life, and keep talking to them wherever you face difficulty. I think community, as a community, we can achieve much more. Although human beings are individual, and we always preach the philosophy of liberalism, but we all know that we are social animal, and together we can achieve much more than what we can do in an individual way. In fact, if you look at the progress of humankind, it has happened because of our togetherness. So if you can take help from your seniors, you can take the hands of your juniors, you can collaborate with other people, you would find things to be extremely gratifying and helpful. As Megha said, I can just share my experience. It's very old, but I was also a student from school with economics background. Okay, in my school, I in fact, not my school. I was in DPS, but at that time, computer science was not a very popular option in the school. It was, I don't even remember whether we had it. So when I came to my uh, course, I was literally struggling the way Meghas explained, and first semester was as bad as it can be. But I made up my mind and worked very hard. And I said, if I don't do well in the next 2 semesters, I'm going to do something else. If you know, and But I picked up. First language which I studied was C, and I was struggling, but I became phenomenally good in C++. In fact, and next time when I got opportunity to do C++, I picked it up and did very very well. And after probably third semester and so, I started coming in the top 5 rank of my class. So that's the basic point, that it's your belief which can make a lot of difference. And you don't have to be number one in the class. That's a separate discussion. But competitive coding is a very different ball game, right? It needs a different kind of preparation. And I guess your seniors are very good examples of to help you with the movement in this arena. As Megha rightly said, it's not about cracking a job. It's about training your mind to think in a particular way. And competitive coding, and particularly if you're looking at examples like ICM, ACPC, and all that, ICPC and all that, they need deep understanding of subjects like algorithms. You need one programming language. It can be anyone, but you need good understanding of data structures, algorithms, discrete maths. So they are slightly deeper into it. So it's not just about programming language, but the real problem solving is what you need to focus. Programming language is just a tool, and of course you need a tool, but it's like an English language skill. If I'm good in English, I can speak, but I need the content, and the content will come from some other subjects. And I believe data structure, algorithm, discrete maths can give you a good starting point to go into some of the very good problems that are asked in some of these competitive coding exams. Basically, some understanding of operating system or databases would be very helpful, but I would rate these three subjects as prominent. So data structures, algorithms, and discrete maths can be a prominent basic subject for movement towards. So whatever just start it, and you will learn. On the on the on the go, you can learn a lot of things. Start with data structures and one programming language, and start exploring and keep talking to. Make a community. That's important. Form a community. Keep in touch with your seniors. Keep in touch with your classmates. Keep in touch with your juniors. Form a group and keep working. I think that would take you to the destination and the train that I was talking about. All right. If you want to ask anything, you can ask me, but I guess Divyaraj and Megha are better people to answer your question in terms of competitive coding. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for motivating us and enlightening us with your deep knowledge of competitive programming and your experience. So, like as sir mentioned, any questions for sir?
Yeah, any questions?
I guess no questions.
Sanskar,
So,
anything except reopening of university will work. The reopening is on my table. I have to decide it. So I'll come back to you on that.
Sir, we have one question for you. So Prakhar is asking, what made you choose the teaching field?
Oh, it's a different question altogether. I would give you a I would give you a deeper answer to that question. So I always loved teaching. That is one thing I must say. Whatever experience I had, I've been involved right from the beginning. In fact, there are a lot of surprising stories that I can share with you. That I joined a company and I resigned within one day. I joined in the morning, resigned in the afternoon, realizing that this is not for me. So I was actually quite confused at one point of time, I must say, because my heart and head were at two different locations, I should say. So finally, I think I did the right thing by coming into teaching. I actually enjoy teaching, and I believe at least I am satisfied. I don't know about others, but yeah, I mean, it didn't happen by default. It was a very difficult choice which I made, but I made this choice after marriage. So I must tell you that there is other connection as well. Okay.
Thank you for that answer, sir. Any other questions? Okay, we have another question. Sir, you do so many things at a point of time. What helps you strike a balance?
So there is no balance. I do a lot of hard work, and on average, I work for around 12 to 15 hours a day. I mean, that's my schedule. In the last 1 year, I think this has been the case. Otherwise, I used to still work for 10 hours because office around 8 to 9 hours, and plus additional 2 hours in the night. Before going to sleep, I spend around an hour or so in replying to some of the mails. But yeah, I mean, I think the it was, and that's what I was telling all of you, that the world is changing dramatically, and the you are at a very important point in the history of humanity, I must say. You see, the current situation, although many of us have not even understood the extent of changes which are going to happen post this period of COVID, wherever it starts. So, if you go to the history of World War One or World War Two, you'll be amazed to see that they brought in destruction all around. But a lot of changes happen in the way people work. Okay, post that. So whether it is industrialization or many things, and I believe that in all the fields, whether it is IT or banking or healthcare, every field will have profound changes, which will start maybe 5 years from now, let's say. Okay, and you are basically that generation which will really see that change, and you'll actually contribute to that change. Okay, now that's why it's important for you to be prepared, and competition is going to grow dramatically. Jobs are going to shrink, jobs are going to dramatically alter as well, in terms of shape and form. So your problem solving approach is extremely important. You will really find cutthroat competition in the market in few years from now, and it is there today, but you would find much more deeper competition in some time from now. And as I said, history is always shaped by those small innovators, and you can be that small innovators. you know I can tell you that after World War II, there were all small section of people who made profound changes, and a large number of them were in US. Okay, because of course certain policies, But just imagine that what are the give me five names of organizations or five people who saved the world in the last, let's say, 8 months. So if you look at one example, I can say Amazon is one, Netflix is another. It has people are basically watching Netflix sitting at home, right? So some of these internet companies, some of these bigger organizations, whether it is a mobile company or whether it is a laptop organization or whether it is Airtel or Geo, you can just count on your fingers. And these companies have actually saved the entire country in the last 8 months. Okay, and of course we have been at the forefront of it. The point is, in a world with such a large population, few people have made such a big change. Okay, and I think this is the point that I'm trying to say, that you can be some of those few people in 10 years from now. Okay, because things are going to change dramatically, and you are at a very good time in the history of the world, and you can take the advantage of the time in all ways. Okay, but you need to remember consistency, you need to remember hard work, and there is no running away from hard work actually. Okay, and understanding of what you call as really problem solving approach. And problem solving approach is much bigger than programming. Okay, programming is one part of it.
So like we have one very interesting question by Aril. What do you suggest us to focus on, our CGPA or competitive programming and new technologies?
Okay, so I would say, let's understand, we can't predict the future completely. We can only see some directions. CGPA, I'm not saying CGPA is not important. Okay. All I'm trying to say is that you have to strike a balance. Okay. And you should not be after, let's say, 10 CGPA. It's not easy also. If you have a reasonable grade, say 7.5 and above, you are in a good situation. Okay. Now, uh, anything above 7.5 or 8 is actually good. Anything above 9 is very, very good. Now, 9 or 9.02 or 9.2 or 9.3, that doesn't matter. So basically, if you're within a 9 to 10 bracket or a 8 to 9 bracket, you are in basically a good shape. So if you come in the top 20% of your class, and just because I feel so many recommendations, majority of the colleges, universities ask us to say, is the student in the top 10%, top 15%, top 20%, top 25%, and so on. So if you come in the top 10 to 15 to 20%, I think you are nicely placed. And you can always showcase other things. So using GitHub, for example, you must make your profile on all of these things which are being looked at by the job providers or research community. Anybody who looks at some of these things, everybody is now asking, give me your GitHub ID, and so that they can see the code that you have written, right? And as Diviraj said, it's not about stealing a code; it's reuse. Reuse is a standard concept in computer science. Okay, so stealing is a bad word. We call it as reuse. So reuse is good. It's actually sharing of code is a very good thing. Why should I rewrite a code which is already available, right? But I must understand, right? Only then I can build upon it. So reuse the codes that are available, make better applications from what is already available.
So
All right.
we'll take
Yeah.
one last question by Ishanya. So how well do you say competitive programming sprints will prepare us to solve problems that may come in our future jobs and interviews?
Okay, so one, it will expand your thinking ability. Second, it will also make you mentally strong. And that's what I said when I started, that there are times when you just can't take failures easily, and competitive programming you'll fail big time actually. Okay, you will not be in that. So suppose you participate in ICPC, the best of the students of SNU have also not been able to do very well. Okay, because it's not just about how good you are. You have to see how good you are with respect to other people participating in this, and understand the challenges of the globe in future. Now that work from home is becoming a normal, why should I hire a student from India, for example? I can hire a student from China as well. I can hire a student from US as well, right? So the point is, you're not going to compete with students of SNU or students of Delhi NCR or students of, for that matter, India. You will compete with global citizens, right? And with the current scenario, that is going to increase. So I can basically, since you don't have to come to office to work, I can practically give work to anyone in the world, right? So your competition is going to be with everyone in the world. Competitive coding will give you this, which is your mental strength will become better. You will be able to really understand the meaning of failures, because you are not competing with your classmates. Today somebody gets a B grade out of 80 students in the class, he complains that I should have got a A grade. Now you should actually complain for the same A grade when you compete with the people in the world. Then you should say that I should get the first rank when I'm competing with students from MIT and Stanford and IIT, right? That is what I'm trying to say. That I should fight for that first rank when I'm competing with the global students of the world.
Sir, we have one another question from Diviraj. He has asked for book recommendations, tech or non-tech.
Okay, so I have been reading lots of books. I don't know. I've read. Um, okay, so tech book, I would say. Uh, I don't know how many of you read books, first of all. That's a big question for today's generation. But there is a book called How to Solve It. Okay, now let me just check. Uh, this is a computer programming book, basically. How to Solve It. This is a computer science book. I don't exactly remember the exact name. Let me just. There was a mathematician called George Polya. Okay. Now he has taught some techniques of problem solving, and basis the similar book, there's another book in computer science which I used to recommend when I was teaching programming in the first or second batch, if I remember. Okay, how to solve it. I'm just searching it. Okay, hang on for a minute. Hmm, anyone knows can recommend. Otherwise, I have that book in my office. I can just check. Yeah, it is. It is by mm, Dromi. Yeah, you can just search it. I don't exactly. I think this is the name. I will check it again. Okay. But so this is so there was a mathematician called George Polya. Uh, how to solve it? Yeah, how to solve it? I think Dorami was the name of the author. I don't remember completely. So George Polya was basically the book by original book by George Polya was about solving problem. Okay, the same concept has been adapted for computer science. Is a very thin book, and that is what I recommend that everybody should look at that book for computer science. Okay, it was Dorami or something. The author was, and look at that. I'll send the name to Sanskar, and you can send it. I have that copy of the book. The second thing which I recommend to all of you is, basically coding is like, language. Okay, so you must keep doing coding. Regarding book, just read anything and everything. I would say, I mean, it's completely on your interest. I would say just read. Reading book is a very good habit. Okay, and must read something which you like. Okay, you'll automatically find a pathway. Diviraj, I'll send you some books named separately. I'm not talking about tech books because I read less tech book these days, but non-tech, yes. I think books I definitely read a lot. In recent times I've been doing that greatly. So I will send you some of my book that I have been using in the last few months. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
But anyway, any student who would want to basically learn programming, don't go with books. I'll simply suggest just start doing join any community basically, okay, and start with the basic concepts of programming. It takes some time to build that, so start with very basic concepts. And basic mathematical concepts are very interesting, important. I would suggest go back to your discrete mathematics book, and there are a lot of small problems. Start coding that. You learn both, you learn logic and you learn how to program. That will be good enough, I would. Diviraj, am I right? If you can pick up some of the basic concepts from discrete math, it actually can give you a good starting point to start coding basically. Discrete maths, data structure. These are two things which I would say started.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to learn about theory more, you can definitely program some of the problems that we had in discrete maths, especially. And again, I don't learn programming from books, as they usually get outdated websites or the official documentation of the technology. So yeah.
Thank you, sir, very much. I don't think we have any more questions. So Prakriti, can we move on right now?
Yeah.
Sir, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, sir, and thank you so much, Divyabhaya and Megadi. So moving on, we have the timeline for decode.
Yeah. So I'll be picking it up. Just a second. So yeah, basically, so the timeline is like this. We'll have three contests, and the questions have been set in a way so that everyone can participate and solve questions. The first contest will be followed by a short discussion session the day after. Me and Nishit will be coding in front of you guys so that you will get a better idea like how to approach questions after the first contest. And for the second and third contest, we will provide you with detailed editorials and solutions. The timeline you can see, the first contest is tomorrow only, and the duration will be 2.5 hours, and we'll send you the timeline tomorrow, like when the contest is going to start. The contest will be held on VJudge, so it's an online platform to host coding contests. Furthermore, more details will be shared on WhatsApp. And as far as programming languages concerned, you can code in any of the languages, be it C++, Java, Python, or Ruby, or whatever you feel like. So there are a bunch of options available over there. And between contest 1 and contest 2, you can see there is a gap of 5 or 6 days. In this duration of time, we'll share questions and helpful material regarding competitive coding. Now coming to the most important aspect of decode, we have kept different type of prizes for every achievement. There will be cash prizes for the top performance and certifications to whoever completes the contest also. So yeah, so hope you all enjoy giving the contest and learn something new. And this will be shared over on WhatsApp, so you can have a detailed look. Any more questions regarding this? I guess it's all clear. Yeah, we have one question. No, okay. I guess it's all clear. We can wind the session up here. And any more discussions and questions, you can put it on WhatsApp, and we'll also share the timeline over there. Thank you very much for joining in, and hope we'll see you tomorrow in the contest.
Thank you
Thank
so much, guys.